Here's what's coming up on the world today. Another 6.3 magnitude earthquake hits Afghanistan. Afghanistan has experienced another 6.3 magnitude earthquake today, this time north of Herat, killing at least one person. The wider impact of the latest quake is not yet clear, but many people were sleeping in the open after their homes were destroyed on Saturday. The governor of Herat says there has been significant damage and many phone and power lines are down.
Yet another earthquake in western Afghanistan just days after two large quakes in the same region killed more than 1,000 people. The new 6.3 magnitude quake struck at around 5:10 local time on Wednesday, 28 kilometers north of the city of Herat. Villagers living in tents after their homes were toppled were jolted awake as the aftershock hit Shahab village. Health officials say more than 100 people are injured and are in hospital. Survivors of the first quake recount the tremors which shattered their homes and lives.
I have no life anymore. We were 7 family members. I'm the only one left alive. My 2 sons recently returned from Iran with their wives. All of them are dead.
The wider impact is not yet clear, but many were sleeping in the open after their homes were destroyed on Saturday. Aid agencies say there is also a shortage of blankets, food and other supplies.
People have different problems. Stomach issues, since they don't have proper food and pure drinking water. They are having pneumonia because they work during the day and nights are cold in here. Some are also having sore throat, and some people do not have tents. So basically they are facing these challenges. Most of the patients are elderly.
On Monday, Shahab village held a funeral ceremony for 300 victims of the earthquake that hit the Zimbabwe district, with the participation of Taliban officials. Saturday's earthquake was followed by 8 strong aftershocks and shook the hard-to-reach areas 30 kilometers northwest of the capital of Herat province, causing village houses to collapse and residents to run to the streets.
Welcome back. Let's make a brief stopover in Ukraine, where U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. would continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes amid political chaos in Congress and the crisis in the Middle East. The Pentagon chief has repeated his country stands firmly with Israel as it defends itself.
The full horror of the attacks by Hamas continues to become more clear and more appalling. The United States stands firmly with Israel as it defends itself and its citizens from this vile Hamas terrorist assault. And we will stay in close contact with our Israeli partners and ensure that they have what they need to protect their country. Now, this coalition continues to make history with our unity and our steadfast support for Ukraine. So make no mistake, the United States will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Against civilians, offend our shared values, and threaten the rule of law. We should be ready for the Kremlin to again bombard Ukraine this winter with cruise missiles and drones. We should expect Putin's forces to cruelly and deliberately put Ukraine's cities, civilians, and critical infrastructure in their gun sights.
The military junta in Niger have demanded that the head of the United Nations diplomatic mission in the country leave within 72 hours. A statement from the West African nation's foreign ministry accused the UN of using underhanded maneuvers instigated by France to stop Niger fully participating in last month's UN General Assembly, as well as other international meetings. The junta, which overthrew Niger's democratically president in July, has also kicked out French troops and the French ambassador. And on Tuesday, French military convoys rolled through the outskirts of the Nigerian capital, Niamey, marking the start of their departure from Niger. Pickup trucks and armored personnel carriers laden with French troops left bases in southwest Niger as demanded by the country's junta. This appears to be the final nail in the coffin of France's military ties with its former colony. It's also the latest sign of how France's influence in the region has been diminished following several coups in West Africa. French forces have also been kicked out of neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso. That has left a hole in the international efforts to counter a decade-old insurgency in the Sahel and exacerbated Western fears over Russia's expanding sway in Africa. Also on Tuesday, the United States declared the July takeover a military coup d'etat, resulting in the official suspension of assistance. U.S. officials said there were, however, no plans to change U.S. troops' presence in the country. Zimbabwe's main opposition party has suspended all MPs for 6 parliament sittings and says they will not receive salaries for the next 2 months. Speaker Jacob Mudenda made the call after the Citizens Coalition for Change held protests in Parliament, saying 15 of its MPs had been tricked into losing their seats. On Monday, a man pretending to be the CCC Secretary General wrote a letter to Speaker claiming the 15 MPs were no longer party members. The party does not have a secret Secretary General, and the letter was littered with grammatical errors. Vote counting is underway in Liberia's election, in which President George Weah is seeking a second term after 6 years marred by corruption allegations and abiding economic hardships in Africa's oldest independent republic. The counting, in which some election officials are tallying votes in notebooks by lamplight, began after dark at polling stations across the capital. The commission will begin releasing provisional results today. To avoid a runoff, the winner must secure over 50% of votes cast. No major incidents were reported, and the voting was calm and orderly at various voting centers visited, according to a team of observers from the Economic Community of West African States. Logistic problems occurred, however, and some waited hours to vote. Election materials were delayed by flooding in Sinoe and River Crest counties, and some ballots were transported by canoes that capsized. The National Electoral Commission has extended voting in those areas. One of the last 3 known black Tulsans who lived through a 1921 race massacre in the Oklahoma town has died at 102, his family has said. Hughes Van Ellis, who sued the city of Tulsa, seeking reparations for one of the deadliest acts of racial violence in U.S. history, died on Monday night in Denver. As many as 300 people, most of them black, were killed when white residents burned Tulsa's African-American neighborhood of Greenwood. Ellis, an infant at the time, and his older sister fled with their family during the attack, in which carloads of white residents staged drive-by shootings, burned homes and businesses, and beat blacks, according to historical accounts. The massacre began after a white woman told police a black man grabbed her arm in an elevator in a downtown commercial building, according to an account by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Police arrested the man, whom the Tulsa Tribune reported had tried to assault the woman. Whites surrounded the courthouse, demanding the man be handed over. A white man tried to disarm a black World War I veteran, and a shot rang out, touching off violence in which 35 blocks of Greenwood were destroyed. She came, she saw, and she conquered. And now she's gone back to her maker. I'm talking about 104-year-old Dorothy Hoffner of Chicago, who just last week jumped from a place in what is believed to be a new world record for the oldest skydiver in the world. Sadly, Dorothy died on Monday this week. On October 1st, she left behind her walker. Tandem leap from an airplane at Skydive Chicago in Ottawa, Illinois. Dorothy was met with huge applause once her feet returned to solid ground, even though the centenarian herself did not see what all the fuss was about. The Guinness World Record attended Hoffner's jump, but has yet to complete the process of certifying it. The current record was set back in May 2022 by 103-year-old Lina Larsson from Sweden. Here's a bit of what Dorothy said when she made that feature last week.
If you feel good, do it. We may have been about 5 feet from the plane in a big gust of wind, and it was a piece of wind that turned us over. So I think we did a somersault, and I thought that was so much fun. When you feel good, you can do these things. Sometimes you might have a little fear or scare of doing it, but if you feel good, do it. I didn't do any moving around, just going straight down. Because it's a wonderful feeling. Just, to see the earth under you. So pretty. And yesterday or Sunday was a beautiful day. And all that green grass down there, wonderful. But it just sounded like fun to me. And it was fun. I think if you have the opportunity to go and enjoy it. And you would enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I couldn't understand why those people were there. As I say, all I did was get older. I'm not old, I'm older.
And that's it for The World Today. I'm Susan Ilian. See you tomorrow.